This is an FTN News special report, Hurricane Ian, the aftermath. I'm Great Jakers 1113, reporting live from our studios in Illinois. Hurricane Ian just completely ravaged western Florida. There was a lot of flooding, and there were 150-mile-per-hour winds, widespread destruction. I just want to take a look at this footage for yourself here. I mean, that went in pretty deep, because that's like the pink foam. That's like the insulation. That is bad. The roof is just gone. Tree branches are now essential. They essentially are now just basically acting like pieces of cloth. Just look at that. 150-mile-per-hour winds. Currently, the death toll is unknown. I just want you to take this in. These are mobile homes, so they're not the strongest, but still, I can imagine on a pretty average home with a decent foundation, pretty average home, of course, built before all those new regulations came in, probably sustained some damage. Perhaps maybe the roof is gone. I don't know if I would be able to if this exact house I'm sitting in right now behind the laptop in Florida was what if my house that I'm sitting in right now happened, if this exact house that I'm sitting in was in Florida, it probably would be wrecked. It's a pretty sturdy home too. I don't know why I'm tapping that. But still, many have probably been injured. It is quite bad right now. Just take a look for yourself of this footage from courtesy of stormchasingvideo.com. As you can see, Ian practically ravaging western Florida right now. No, not right now. Just chaos. Just chaos. I can only imagine what it was like to bend there on the ground. What it was like on the ground. I don't think the wind is so strong. I'm pretty sure it was pretty difficult to even keep your feet on the ground. If you look at that footage there, just just absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking footage. Search and rescue efforts are underway. Let's take a more of a look at the damage here. This is courtesy of the Guardian. Courtesy of the Guardian here. Just they're devastating flooding. You saw that highway there, insane. What looks like a beautiful community there just turned into a system of rivers and canals. Widespread destruction. Just that is how powerful this storm was. That footage there, courtesy of the Guardian. South Carolina now bracing for landfall. Here's a look at St. Augustine right now. I think this is right. I don't know, but just look at that. That is. Look at those fools right walking out there. Look at those fools. Look at them walking. During a storm like this, you need to stay inside. Look at that. Insane. And this was not even the worst of the worst. The storm quickly weakened, of course, as it approached Florida. The aftermath has been bad, to say the least. Just take this all in. Just take this all in. That is courtesy of First Coast News in Florida there. That is this is what's ongoing right now, courtesy of First Coast News in Florida. Just they're zooming in there. Flooding extends for a while. And that's not even the worst. And that is not even the worst. That is pretty low compared to what some areas got. The footage that you saw early on just made that look like mild rainstorm. So anyways, Governor DeSantis is giving an update now. We're going into them live.
A cable line and a power line. You should not be doing that. Leave that to the professionals. Again, as the governor indicated 2 days ago, we have significantly more indirect deaths from disasters that are 100% avoidable than we do the disaster itself. So please be safe. Drone pilots. We're starting to have some issues with drone pilots in areas. Please do not operate your drones in the areas where we have military aircraft, search and rescue aircraft working. When you go in there with their drone or your drone, they have to stop working. Please stay out of the area and let us do our job. Similarly, we saw it down in Fort Myers today. People are wanting to go out and look at the damage. For every car that's going down a street, that's preventing a power line crew from getting in there and working. It's preventing a search and rescue crew from getting in there and working. Please stay outside these areas so that we can get in there. Power outages are being restored. The governor read through a laundry list of individuals that are having power restored. We did hear a question earlier today about, well, it's still 2.6 million. It was 2.6 million this morning. Jacksonville has been hit. We have power outages in Duval County, St. Johns County, Nassau County, Baker County. So those are going to offset here for a little while. FPL, the Municipal Electric Association and its municipal electric partners, the cooperative electric programs are getting their stuff turned back on. Please be patient. We have every faith and trust in them to restore the power. However, in places where we're going to have to rebuild infrastructure, that's going to take longer, as the governor mentioned. Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, Pine Island, that's going to take some time. In those areas, we do have some other challenges. There is potentially vehicles in the water, there are potentially boats in the water, there is potentially debris in the water. We will be working with our federal partners to mission assign or ask their request and mission assign special resources to go in there and start looking under the water to do an underwater survey to ensure that we can actually get the necessary barges and heavy equipment into those areas to respond effectively. I think this is an appropriate time to say, Gracia, thank you very much for all your assistance. Admiral McPherson as well as the TAG, General Eifert, has been with me since day one, sitting here. He was here at 0700, which means he had to leave St. Augustine at 04 something. Thank you very much. We continue to mobilize additional resources to impacted areas. Specifically today, we did more than 400 bottles of oxygen, 100 ambulances, an additional 120 utility trucks, 4 mobile triage units. These are specific units to help triage patients if somebody becomes injured. We do have hospitals that have some issues and cannot intake patients. So this is the ability to triage individuals for that. 60 truckloads of water, 40 truckloads of meals, 40 truckloads of ice. That was a question earlier a couple of days ago. We have brought in additional pet foods, supplies for displaced pets. 5 truckloads of blankets, 5 truckloads of cots, and I believe this was requested earlier by someone, nearly 100,000 tarps. FTN recovery staff are now beginning the process of rapid damage assessments in the impacted counties to expedite all available federal assistance for the disaster recovery. The governor mentioned earlier that additional counties have been added to the Category A debris removal expedited project or expedited declaration and IA or individual assistance. Those counties are Orange, Osceola, Seminole, and Polk. Again, these counties are available for 30 days at 100% in federal assistance. I am going to turn to Gracia and ask, what is that website that we need to direct everyone to for mobile intake?
For registration.
For registration.
For survivors, it is disasterassistance.org.
Disasterassistance.org. So again, we're proud that 8,700 people have already done that, and we want to continue to do as much as we can via web registration. Again, Governor, First Lady, thank you so much for your leadership today.
Okay, First Lady.
All right, well, flying over the devastation and destruction firsthand, all I can say is, our hearts and our prayers are with so many people who are suffering, which is why about 24 hours ago, we launched the Disaster Relief Fund. And I'm happy to say that after 24 hours, we have raised more than $10 million into that fund. And if you remember this morning, just at 8 o'clock, 8 a.m., we came out here and we talked with you. I think it was at $1.6 million. So now we're over $10 million. So I just want to say thank you to all of the great Floridians who stepped up to support our efforts and all of the people across the country who are helping Floridians. Thank you. We are going to make a big difference to help get resources immediately to those people who need them most. Amazon, we want to thank them. Centene, Ian McKetney, Florida Blue, Lanier, Walmart, we'll be hearing from them in just a second, donated $1 million. Boeing, Publix, Simply Healthcare, Airbnb, Tico Energy, Wells Fargo, Verizon, CVS, Duke Energy, Goldman Sachs, Rumble, Florida Power and Light, National Christian Foundation, the PGA Tour, and Horn, just to name a few. And that doesn't even go into all of the donations that came in from people who are giving $5 and $10. And thank you so much for what you're doing. Also want to say thank you to Tom Brady, who put on his website a special shout out to the defense, or to our fund, the Florida Disaster Fund, that got a lot of attention and raised a lot of money. So thank you for your support of your community. Also, thank you to Visa, Amex, PayPal, and Braintree. They are waiving.
You are listening live. We're going to bring you. You're listening live to the DeSantis giving a update on Hurricane Ian. We're going to take you back there in just a moment.
The Emergency Operations Center. And so we're able then to communicate those needs to those nonprofits on the ground so we can meet them quickly. And so these funds make a big difference.
They're currently thanking
what we're seeing. And again, when we are flying over Lee
Hurricane
County and some of these areas that were just devastated, they are going to need things like foods and tarps and what have you. And so what is not
Hurricane Ian, Florida's state fire marshal apparently just said around 27 minutes ago that Hurricane Ian is likely the largest natural disaster in the state of Florida history.
All right, Volunteer Florida.
DeSantis is speaking now. We're going to take you to him.
Good evening, everyone, and I want to thank you on behalf for being here. And first of all, I want to thank, the First Lady and the Governor for their leadership in this. And I must say, it is a record amount of money that we have now received for the disaster fund. And I want to thank, obviously, our partners, our corporate partners. I will say to you, we have been on the phone calling people, and they have been giving to people in Florida specifically with needs, and we plan to make very good use of that money. And I want to thank each and every person that has reached out, called, and specifically for those in the storm's path. And so these funds will go for response and recovery. We will be doing that, looking at all of that very carefully. And I want to thank our corporate partners, specifically Walmart, who has, in fact, Ms. Moni Brown is on our foundation. And this fund is administered through our Volunteer Florida Foundation. So on behalf of everyone, I want to thank you all for being. Specifically, I want to thank the First Lady for her leadership on this, and the Governor, and everyone who is called in need. And please, I want to tell you, if you want to volunteer, please go to our website at volunteerflorida.org. We have someone standing by that can connect you with nonprofits that are in need of volunteers, and also www.floridadisasterfund.org or text disaster to 20222. And I will say there will be a banner at the FSU football game this weekend with our Florida Disaster Fund, and also USF has agreed to do that. And in my mind, I'm going to get every college team to do that in Florida as long as we need them. Thank you so much, and thank you, First Lady and Governor.
Okay, we're happy to have John Furner, President and Chief Executive Officer of Walmart.
Good evening, and thank you, Governor and First Lady, for coming together today, and also for your team's quick response following just the devastation that we're seeing from the hurricane. So I'm proud to be with you here in Florida tonight, representing Walmart, to further discuss how Walmart will continue partnering with all of you and your team while we continue to respond to the devastation of the storm. Supporting communities is core to Walmart, and Florida is our community. Many of our associates, customers, and members all across Florida are feeling the effects of the extensive damage caused by this storm. And like all of you, we've been closely monitoring its track to ensure that we stay in tune with what our stores, our clubs, our supply chain teams need to be doing to serve before, during, and after this storm. So in preparation for the response and recovery, we've strategically placed things like generators, refrigerated trailers, merchandise, and additional personnel in the right locations to give us the best opportunity to resume operations as soon as it's safe to do so. We have 385 stores and clubs here in Florida, 9 distribution centers, and at one point today, 244 of those were closed. And we think over the next day or so, we'll have the majority of those back open and operating. So we've helped relocate associates living in mandatory evacuation zones, and we're carrying out wellness checks for those living in the other impacted areas. Now, throughout all of this, our thoughts and our prayers remain with those who are impacted, and we are moving quickly to help. To that end, on behalf of Walmart, Sam's Club, and the Walmart Foundation, I'm announcing our commitment of up to $6 million for recovery and relief efforts. And this level of support does include, First Lady now, a $1.5 million investment to support the Florida Disaster Fund, donations of essential supplies, and grants to local and national organizations who are here on the ground supporting relief efforts. Now, what we do know is Walmart customers, members, and our associates are the most general people that we know. And as part of this investment, we're also launching a national customer and member giving campaign at our stores and clubs, and an associate donation campaign through Walmart's Associate Giving Program. And we understand our responsibility to the communities we serve, and we'll proudly work side by side with each and every one of you to ensure we're doing everything we can along with our first responders to restore our communities as quickly as possible. And this includes mobilizing resources and services to those people who need them. So as a company and as fellow Floridians, when our friends, our neighbors, and our loved ones need help, we will gladly step forward to support them. Thank you.
Okay, so we're very much monitoring the impacts that we're seeing in other parts of the state other than Southwest Florida, and I know Kevin is working on we're going to obviously have a big response in Southwest Florida, but when you talk about FEMA, some of these other things, there's going to be a need to be response in some of these other parts of the state on an individual basis, and so I know he's working on that, and we're going to be back down in all these areas and working hard to make sure that we can get people back on their feet. And with that, I'll take some questions.
I know that a lot of people are questioning what the casualty count is, and I know you addressed it, but is the state at least preparing for a large casualty situation?
Hyundai Tucson versus Toyota RAV4.
Sheriff as well as the president earlier today.
Well, I mean, I think it's a massive storm. I mean, I think we anticipate casualties. I think Kevin made a good point about how many are going to happen from the time it hits on. We've stressed to try to minimize both, obviously, but we're now in the situation where there's going to be hazards out where people can be in harm's way still. Just because the storm has passed does not mean that there's not additional hazards. Operating things like generators, standing. Now, fortunately, I was looking, there wasn't as much standing water as I was anticipating. I think that the storm surge that they had feared in Charlotte, while they did get water, there was flooding. I don't think it was at quite the level that was initially feared. Obviously, in Lee, you had a massive storm surge at the barrier islands. You did have some on the mainland, but I saw the roads by and large clear. There were a couple roadways where I saw where there was water. So hopefully some of those hazards are minimized. I think if you look at the most significant storm in the history of Florida was Okeechobee in the 20s, and you guys can look it up. But I mean, I don't think we would be anywhere approaching that.
We've heard, just anecdotally from various local officials, the total would be about 16 people right now dead. You're not confirming that. But I'm wondering, as you're getting out to these barrier islands now, are you getting people off these islands? You are not finding massive numbers of dead people on these islands.
That is correct. I think but at the same time, they're going to see people that may be visibly in need or knocking on doors, and most of them are saying, I'm fine. If there's no answer, I don't know that they're going into those homes. Now, many of those homes are vacation homes and seasonal residents, so we'll see. Now, there are so what will be confirmed as storm related, that will happen, relatively soon. I can tell you that there have been some non-storm related fatalities as well. I mean, for example, in Charlotte County, they reported a suicide during the storm. They also had somebody pass away from a heart attack because you don't have access to emergency services for a certain period of time. And so that could have been somebody, that would have gone to the hospital. So there's a lot of those things. They're working through it, and we'll see. But I can say, I think, Kevin, there's not been in these rescue efforts, deceased people found as of yet. Now that may change, of course, as they do more. But they've been able to lift a lot of people out of those islands, and I know a lot of those people have been happy. But increasingly, there are people who are happy that people are out there looking out for them, but say thank you. We're good. I don't know that.
You're watching our live coverage here on FTN.
Structural damage for some of the underlying services. It's just going to take a little longer for the utilities.
Especially in Lee County, it sounds like. Are we talking about displacement for months
and right next to me.
Are they gonna have to send their kids to different schools? Are there schools that are not gonna be able to open?
Is DeSantis.
Assessing that, I think that they're looking to see exactly how many people are going to be displaced. Clearly, you have some homes that were a total loss. There's no question about that. How many of those were rental homes? How many of those were permanent residents? I think people are still looking at how many of those were seasonal homes for seasonal residents. I think
that's you're looking live at Governor DeSantis giving a briefing. We'll keep him. Right next to just there, Ian intensified into a Category 1 hurricane again, and it's heading towards South Carolina, threatening flooding. Storm surges and strong winds are expected. I want to go. we had a bit of an issue with the audio there. There are multiple warnings in effect for Friday. We're going to go over them real quick. There's a storm surge warning for Flagler. There's a storm surge warning for the Flagler-Volusia County line all the way to Cape Fear. That has a storm surge warning. So does the Neuse and St. Johns River. There's a hurricane warning from the Savannah River to Cape Fear. We have their tropical storm warnings are in effect for Vero Beach, Florida, all the way up to the Savannah River. There's also a tropical storm warning up from Cape Fear to Duck, North Carolina. There's also one in Pamlico Sound. There's a storm surge watch north of Cape Fear to Duck, North Carolina. There's a storm surge watches are also in effect for the Pamlico River and Cape Fear River. Hurricane watches are there's a hurricane watch in effect from the Flagler-Volusia County line to the Savannah River. There's also another hurricane watch in effect east of Cape Fear to Surf City. Now back to DeSantis.
We're going to be back down in Southwest Florida, but we're also working to see other impacted areas throughout the state to go and potentially visit, meet with folks, and see what they need. So, at the end of the day, I view this as something that you got folks that are in need, and local, federal, state. We have a responsibility to work together. I tell you, the way the locals have worked really hard. I mean, it's been really impressive to watch because this is not an easy thing to deal with. It's also not an easy thing when you have forecasts all over the map and you're not necessarily sure where it's going. Naples and Fort Myers were out of the cone 72 hours before the storm actually made landfall. And as that changed, they pivoted and they put their plans in action. So it's been really good. And obviously, Kevin and his team have done a great job. I mean, having so many things pre-positioned. But every request we've asked from FEMA has been approved. So we appreciate that, and we want to make sure.
So you would plan on seeing him while he's in town, no matter when it is?
Is he coming?
From what I understand, he will be here tomorrow.
Okay. Did you know that? Yeah, I don't know if that's the case. With the FEMA administrators here, maybe, so we'll see. But I mean, at the end of the day, we want all the support that we can get because we understand that there's a lot of need out there, and these are good communities. The thing is these are resilient folks. These are really, really good folks down there, and they will bounce back, but we just need to make sure that we can kind of pave the way for them. All right, we'll see you guys in the morning. Thank you.
Governor DeSantis just finished giving a briefing now. Governor DeSantis, that has been an update from Governor DeSantis in Florida. Fort Myers Airport will only be open to emergency and Fort Myers International Airport is closed except to emergency personnel.
In Charlotte and Lee counties. And, some of the damage was, almost indescribable to see a
Apologies for that little issue. Um, I want to show you this footage from Fox Weather. It's a home in Fort Myers. This is just to really nail in how bad things are. That is a whole entire house in Fort Myers being swept away by this hurricane. That house moved. That house just moved completely. Things are things are quite bad right now. Here's a look at the radar. It's expected to make landfall in Charles. This is courtesy of NBC. It's harder to find footage now. Things are Things are quite bad in Florida right now. Things are we're going to end our broadcast now as I've disconnected. We were already wrapping things up. This has been an FTN News special report. I'm GreatJakers1113 in Illinois. Good night.